Hello, hi. So I'm back for day 26 of VEDA, and so I'm doing this video without my glasses. If you look back at my videos for the past few years, I don't typically do them without my glasses because I can't see and I didn't put on my contacts. So hopefully my eye contact makes sense because I can't see and it's just fuzzy. But nonetheless, I wanted to do a quick video and talk about just another my life with endometriosis and diet. And so I want to talk about it because, you know, I read a lot of stuff. I read a lot of things that people post, that people share about ways to kind of deal with the different issues that you have with endometriosis. So just for those who are less familiar with the condition, it's when there's cells that are similar to the lining of your uterus, though the cells inside of your uterus, they're similar to those, they are outside. So there's still no real idea how that happens. Like, they don't know how they get out there, they don't know what causes it, they don't, so that means that curing it is a challenge. The gold star standard of treatment is excision surgery, which is essentially, once they figure out you have it, they go in with this this device that allows the doctor to remove the actual endometriosis from everywhere that it's on your body, which means you have to be trained on how to use that tool. You have to understand what endometriosis looks like at a microscopic level. Like, they can go in and really excise, like they literally go in and pull it all out. And that is the gold standard. It's not considered a cure. Sorry, there's hair, excuse me, just got aggressive. This is not a cure per se, but with excision surgery, you typically get a large percentage of it out. I think I've read, like, you know, in the 90 percentile of removal, but that's not 100%. It's not foolproof. There are some people who have to have excision surgery more than one time because, again, there is no cure. With that, excision surgery is expensive because of the insurance establishment, which I may do a video about this later. It's considered elective surgery, so you have to pay for it. There's some insurances that cover it, but for the most part, if you're getting excision surgery, you need to be prepared. Even if your insurance will cover it, it's often like in reimbursement form. You have to be prepared to cover some of your costs on the front end, which means it's expensive, which means that there are a lot of women who have endometriosis, myself included, who aren't able to get the procedure, the surgery. And I'm not saying I won't ever be able to get it, but like right now in this moment, I can't just call a doctor and be like, okay, run it, excise this joint. Like, it's just not, I can more easily get a hysterectomy than I can get excision surgery. The problem with that, and I'm kind of going on a bit of a tangent, but the problem with hysterectomy is that they take out your uterus, but by the description that I just gave, the definition of endometriosis, it's when the cells that are inside your uterus get outside of it. So if you take my uterus out, you don't remove the endometriosis, you just remove the uterus. Now, that works for a condition called adenomyosis, which is when the cells, happens inside of your uterus. And so it is related to endometriosis. There's some people who have both, but not necessarily. I don't know. I have never been diagnosed with adenomyosis. I was definitely diagnosed with endometriosis. Sorry, there's air in my mouth, excuse me. But I don't know if I have that. So for me, a hysterectomy is not an immediate solution because that won't take away my endo. But with that, there has to be, you know, ways to manage your symptoms. The symptoms are pain, like cramps, like if you're on your monthly cycle, cramps, sometimes they're like regular cramps, sometimes they are 12 times worse, so they're just really intense cramps. Sometimes they go above and beyond where, like, I've had pain down my leg. For me, it'll be kind of leg related, like it kind of radiates down. There's some people who feel it in their back. And so it just becomes kind of a total body, starting from your pelvic area and then just goes out as far as, depending on what you're dealing with. So that's pretty bad. You also have bloating. Some people have, sometimes because of endometriosis, it's the uterine cells, they're just similar, they're outside. The cells in your uterus shed, which means the cells that are outside of your uterus that are just like those cells also shed. So you have bleeding in your body, causes scar tissue, which causes all sorts of other issues that I can't even really list because it just really depends on the person. With that, all of that I just described, you need some type of a relief. Most medicines, most pain relief, I take ibuprofen, but there are some women who have to take stronger pain medicine that, you know, you prescribed only by a doctor. I have been able to stay completely over the counter with my ibuprofen use, but that is not a that's not foolproof. Sometimes it can work, sometimes you're popping it like candy and nothing is happening. And so there are other things you can do to alleviate your symptoms. One of them is to change your diet. One of the biggest underlying factors with endometriosis is inflammation. So it really just, you know, it's in your body, it causes inflammation. And so when you are changing your diet, you want to eliminate foods that contribute to inflammation and look for ways to add foods that help reduce it. So foods that are most known to contribute to inflammation: red meats, dairy, soy, other types of foods. So I'll get a little bit deeper into that, but those three things for sure definitely contribute to inflammation. And so oftentimes if you see on different endometriosis message boards, if you're reading an article, message boards, groups, etc., that'll be one of the first things they recommend if you're kind of newly diagnosed, is you should cut out those food groups. Other things, and so when you're looking into things to eat, things not to eat, it's important to research things that cause inflammation, that may cause inflammation, because those can also contribute to endometriosis. So for me, my diet is actually a lot stricter. Up until about 2012, and there's a story coming, I did cut out, you know, I stopped eating red meat. I started to become lactose intolerant just in general, just kind of sensitive to lactose. So I had slowly started to remove that from my diet but it wasn't causing me a lot of pain. It was just causing me, you know, general lactose intolerant issues and not necessarily connected to the endometriosis. So I was like, you know what, this has already caused me problems. I had cut that out. I stopped eating pork in like 1998, literally in 98. I stopped eating pork. And so by then I was kind of just doing beef, chicken, you know, things like that. And so at one point I was fully vegetarian, just for like, I'm just gonna be vegetarian, see how that works, if I can do that. And so I did do that. However, in 2012, things ratcheted up for me because I ended up going to the hospital with a bowel obstruction, which basically just means that my bowels got kind of kinked up, as the doctor said, and I was not able to pass, which means that for me, it turned into my food. I started to have really, really, really intense food allergies. So in addition to not being able to eat dairy or and not being able to eat dairy, I realized I was very intolerant to soy. So soy made me really sick. So now, rather than dairy just kind of doing what people say, and they're like, well, it'll just give you a little gas or a little diarrhea, etc. That's not it. Way beyond that, it would basically cause a flare. So I would have pain, I would have discomfort, it would be way more than just, you'll be fine after a couple of hours, which is what a lot of people say to me when I say I can't eat it. It's dismissive, because it doesn't just cause me, you know, gas. It's 12 times, 20 times worse than that. Soy is twice as bad as dairy. So I get sick really fast. And also what I started to notice was that anything that even had soy in it, I couldn't eat it. So even if it was processed or cooked, if there was soy in it, I couldn't eat it. It got so bad I was really unable to eat anything. Like literally, I could not keep food down. And so it got worse and worse and worse. I just kind of got considerably sicker till one day I woke up and my cheeks were gone, like like that. My face was like that without me doing that. And so I lost like 10 pounds in a week. And my mom was like, yeah, so it's a no for me. You're going to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room and they were like, oh, you have a bowel obstruction. And so I had to get a procedure to kind of fix it. But as a result of that, I ended up with way more aggressive food allergies. So I kind of can't eat a bunch of stuff. So essentially I had to become vegetarian by force, which was terrible. And just because anytime you have to do something by force, you can't ease into it. You just have to do it, and you have to break old habits. And so it wasn't like I was eating particularly unhealthy. Like, you can eat healthy chicken, but I couldn't eat chicken because it made me sick. I couldn't eat red meat because it made me sick. Even if it was healthy, if it was lean cuts, it wasn't necessarily about the cut, it was just the food. I realized eggs made me sick. And so being able to maintain that diet it's hard, it's stressful. People don't understand that you physically cannot consume those foods, and so you spend a lot of time explaining to strangers that you can't eat them. Now in this day and age, there are more people who are open about their intolerance. I think with the whole the gluten intolerant kind of movement, for lack of a better word, caused more people to kind of be able to speak more openly about just saying I have food allergies, and then you just kind of leave it at that. But up until like the last couple of years, I would say I have food allergies, and then people would turn into like a whole, back and forth about what my food allergies are. And then when I describe what I can eat, then my food allergies would be dismissed. So it's like, I can't eat dairy. It's like, what do you mean you can't eat dairy? What? It's fine. You should just eat it. And it's like, and so I'm saying all this because if you have endometriosis, whether you don't wait until you have symptoms. Look for ways to remove foods that cause inflammation. Some of the things that cause inflammation that aren't as commonly talked about, that it's important to mention. Nutritional yeast can be, for me, it's aggressive. Like, I cannot eat anything with nutritional yeast in it. And that's something, if you eat vegetarian or vegan, that's often what people use to substitute cheese, because it gives you kind of that nutty flavor, but also that coloring. No for me. Carrageenan. Carrageenan, I did the research. It's a compound that they put in kind of almond milks and other kind of nut milks that can cause inflammation. So it's a no for me. I can't eat anything with Carrageenan in them. Guar gum, I can't eat. So like ice creams, some mostly like the non-dairy sweet stuff that doesn't have soy, that doesn't have Carrageenan, that doesn't have all those things, and then you think, oh, it's fantastic, you can eat it. If it has guar gum in it, I can eat very small amounts of it, which really means I can't eat it. But sometimes I want some ice cream, and so I might get it and eat a little bit of it until I start to kind of feel like, all right, now it's too much, and I'll stop eating it. I'll share a list down below just as a reference for some of you who may be trying to adjust your diet and thinking you've cut out the food groups but still not feeling great and still kind of not feeling well about it. These are some things that you should keep in mind. So I wanted to just share some of my experiences. I went on a bit of a tangent, but I wanted to kind of provide some context. So if you have endometriosis, if you've been diagnosed, if you're newly diagnosed, you should definitely look into how you can kind of start to remove some of those things from your diet, even if you aren't getting sick from them. Because I had already started kind of adjusting my diet when I did start to get really sick, it wasn't easy by any means, but it made my adjustment a little bit more tenable. Just because I have done it before, so I already had kind of strategies and tactics to do it again, and then I just had to adjust them. So this is by no means a simple or easy situation, but looking at just reading the backs of food, I have to read everything that I buy in the grocery store. I have to ask about ingredients when I go out to eat. Just have to be very diligent, and it's important to start those habits early. So if you do get to a point where you start to get really sick, you already have some habits with kind of cutting your food and just being aware of what you're putting in your body. That's ultimately, eating whole foods is really the ideal. But sometimes time doesn't allow for that for me, because cooking is not always something I feel like doing, just to be honest. It just doesn't. So I hope this is helpful. I can go into more detail. I don't want to spend hours and hours talking about kind of my food challenges, but if you have questions, if you are dealing with endometriosis yourself and you are trying to navigate this space, I've been doing this since I was diagnosed in '98, as I have said in quite a few previous videos. So I've been living with this for a while, and so I've gone through the paces. And so I can definitely share what I've learned and what I've kind of figured out along the way that can help me manage. So that's it. That's my endometriosis diet conversation. I hope this is helpful. I look forward to coming back to chat more about this. I look forward to answering your questions and talking with you in the comments. And I look forward to the next time that we can talk again. Bye.